So the last time I made a conference on the similar subject, exhibition, a famous researcher, a Dutch thinker, Peter van Mensch, I'm sure a lot of people here know him, started the period of question by saying with a lot of emotion in his voice, "I love you as a person, but I hate what you have said." So why such a strong emotion? I think it was because I was speaking as an exhibition person, exhibition developer, and not speaking about the educational aspect of exhibition, which are very much discussed in this kind of conference, even if it wasn't the case with Jorge Wagensberg. So I am going to speak about space, both symbolic and real, about movement, about construction of meaning, but not about education. Other will do it. Not that I deny that exhibition can teach something, but I strongly believe that exhibition can convey something else that only knowledge whose gain can be measured. That's the reason why I am making exhibitions since 20 years. If it was not something else than giving a lesson, I would do other things. So if you hate what I am going to say, you know that you are in good fellowship with Peter. So, sorry. Many ideas I am going to develop are coming from the work of Jean d'Avalon, a French sociologist, and he so deeply influences my thinking that I wanted to mention it at the beginning of my speech. And if you want to know more and better said things, I advise you to read his books. But let's start with examples. I want first to speak about two exhibitions, in fact, one exhibition, one a museum, that deeply transformed myself and my understanding of exhibition. First, it's an exhibition called Femme, Corps et Âme, Woman, Body and Soul, presented in the years 90 in the Musée de la Civilisation in Quebec. This exhibition explored the fact of being a woman, a female identity, and its evolution through time. But it showed women's relationship with their body, so the hyper-valorization, the hyper-exposure, but also the constraints and the violence made to this body. Also, it points the importance of the mother-daughter transmission in the building of girls' identity. It was both historic and psychoanalytic. By revealing the many ways of oppression through Western history and by comparing it to the role of women in society, it was made to let people recognize the dignity of women. The power of this exhibition was incredible. There was no explicit speech, no long introductory text, no conclusion, only strong images, art installation, facts, numbers, police reports. But the underlying feminist project was everywhere, omnipresent, and the meaning for the visitor was built step by step, unconsciously. The exhibition was also very beautiful, and I think it was because it was made by two famous artists, Alice Ronfard and Daniel Levesque. The second example is a small, very, very small museum in Vienna, the Museum for Contraception and Abortion. It was founded in 2003 by a gynecologist, Christian Fiala, that's him, who wanted to teach women how they can best manage their fertility. Here, on the contrary, the scenography is light, sober, but the object presented, an object related to contraception and abortion through time, and sometimes looking at torture tools, and the many stories told are really powerful, because the project of Christian is clear, is defined. Every element conveys a meaning, converge to the same idea, and it's very easy for the visitor to catch the idea, and the idea is very simple. It's a political idea. It's the idea that giving birth is a choice and not a fatality. it was so powerful that museum, there were manifestations in front of the museum to make it close, and Christian received a lot of written and even physically. So why do I pinpoint those two examples? Not because I would be a feminist, but because I think both are not only assemblage of accurate knowledge and real objects. Of course, museums are this assemblage of accurate knowledge and objects, but they also convey an idea, a general idea, not written anywhere, but underlying every piece in the exhibition. The idea is not the message of your exhibition. I get bored reading exhibition objective written like, the exhibition will make people learning that. You know, that's not the idea behind. I think the idea is the why. Is why we make this exhibition and not anything else. It is the motive, the motivation. It is political in some way. Political, of course, in the broad sense. And to bring another example in order to explain what I mean, let's take this exhibition, Tous parents, tous différents, all parent, all related, all different, I think, if I could translate it, developed by the Museum of Mankind in Paris. This exhibition was giving a lot of information about genetics, genetics of population, physical anthropology, but the idea behind was to demonstrate that there is no racism in humankind, that the racism was not scientifically grounded. It was not put as such in the exhibition. This sentence, there is no race, was not written in the exhibition, but it was behind every example, every explanation. And it provides the strength and the meaning of the exhibition. The exhibition was then more than what was physically in the exhibition on the floor. It referred to the external world, to the life, even to the belief of people, of citizens. And the same kind of things could be said about an exhibition about evolution if there is an idea behind. For instance, life is changing all the time under the double pressure of chance and environmental condition. And of course I refer to Stephen Jay Gould by saying this. But that idea frees the living forms from predetermination. So, if I can summarize it like this, I want to go further. Not only exhibition have to convey an idea, but exhibitions that have landmark museums and that we remember are those who were carried by somebody or by a group, small group of people, asserting their own subjectivity, who were and proposing a new approach to a subject. Let us consider the founding role for museums of exhibition like Pretext Object, Manipulated Object by Jacques Hénard, or the exhibition Body and Soul in Paris, whose curator was Jean-Claire, or more recently Cosmo Caixa, that bears the mark of Jorge Wagenberg. In any case, it is a strong proposal, unique and signed. Not signed by a group, that's not a compromise, that's something which is written by somebody or a small group of people. I don't mean a budget, but a strong subjective proposal. No neutrality, but a eye having something to say. Very often, in exhibition, everything is made to give a feeling of objectivity. The producer is not in the room anymore, and the very fact of building the communication through exhibition are hidden. It's like objective reality. But it was made by somebody. Ready? Is it better? Good. For me, I thought I was speaking very loudly. But so, for the visitor, an authority, the science with a big S, is speaking, and there is no place for him to agree or disagree, to have his own point of view, to be able to understand why what is shown, and to say why it is important to him. I don't want to relativize the science to be transmitted. Of course, if I speak, that means that I have something worse to say. But I think that when the I replaces the objective us, it allows the visitors to be free in their appropriation of the exhibition. I affirms the exhibitor, and then does clear the authoritarianism of the transmission. It leaves room to other subjectivities, the subjectivities of the visitors, who can then freely appropriate, at least intellectually and symbolically, the tangible and the intangible object of the exhibition. So, first point, if you want a powerful exhibition, you need to have an idea to convey. Not surprising, because I think exhibitions are cultural artifacts. And as every cultural artifact, it answers to an intention, I mean a goal, or the will to produce an effect on visitors. This effect is built fundamentally to change the perception about, to change the visitors' perception about themselves, the other, and the world. But what do we have at our disposal to convey this big idea and to provide this shift in perception? Basically, three things: objects, all of them, space, and place for social relations. I will develop them successively. So exhibition is about objects. It was already said just before. Exhibition is not primarily made to say something, but to show things. This idea can seem trivial, but if there is nothing to show, I mean 3D object or phenomena presented in 3D, you would better do something else, a theater play, a movie, or a book. And I will take an example of one of my biggest failures. Failures are always interesting. It was a project called Biosphere in Montreal. It was an interpretation center about the St. Lawrence River, the water and environment. And it was in 1994, and we knew that the knowledge was going to change a lot and very rapidly. The only object was the river. There was nothing else to show as object, only information to give. So we decided to create an information tool. We thought that the visual contact, and in this room, that the visual contact with the river was enough, and connected with the data and the maps, etc., could provide the willing to know more. This information tool was easy to update rapidly, and of course it was the dream of the commissioner, the Ministry of Environment. We won the competition on this idea of information tool to be updated easily. It was also the dream for the scientists, always looking for cutting-edge knowledge. But it was a failure, because people entered the room, they had a look at the landscape, and they didn't touch the computer. There was nothing to grasp their attention, nothing to justify, to make the effort to go deep in the content. And more crucial, nothing to make a link between information provided and the real world. Nothing to be a symbolic mediator, a go-between. And I think the function of objects in an exhibition is to be this go-between the visitors and the world outside and the world of ideas. So we had forgotten indeed that an exhibition must be a combination of things, a mixed media using object to provide a sensory experience. But pay attention, I don't say that object can do the job alone. Objects are not ventriloquists. You have to convey their meaning. It is vital to let them undergo appropriate treatment. This is why, contrary to the popular belief, it is not easy to transmit scientific content via exhibition. So the arrangement of objects in space will provide a basis for building a relationship between what is exposed and what is said. Selection, assembly, staging, demonstration of things with their language and technical dimension produce a specific and global artifact to transform the status of these objects and to make them representative of the world outside. So, exhibition is a space. The exhibition is an arrangement of things in space with the intention of making them accessible to the visitor. It is then a situational and instrumental media. The space or the mise en scène is never neutral, even if it is made in such a way. The exhibition arrangement expresses a particular relationship to content. Temple, shed, playground are all specific proposals. No one is more at the service of the content than the other. Each time the question is the spirit of the place. And this spirit of the place is kind of alchemy, different things playing, giving the atmosphere. And then each space contains a singularity, an atmosphere that gives its adequacy to the meaning, and I would say that gives the meaning. I think the space can give clue to visitors to understand the meaning of an exhibition, the way people have to tackle with the content, with the idea. So characteristics of the space dictate to the visitors immediately and intuitively how to stand, how to move in space, how to talk, to consider their surroundings. In a temple, we move slowly. In a shed, we work, we touch, we speak loudly. There is no hierarchy between them, but different relationship to the exhibit. But exhibition is not only a place used by exhibitor to create sense. It is also a place where visitors move. If the space gives indication of how to deal with the exhibition, his own movement in the exhibition creates also a specific meaning. The movement in the exhibition is the movement in the content. The succession of encounters with object and experience is linked to this movement and can differ from one visitor to the other. In other words, the construction of meaning depends from the movement in space, and you cannot control it. You cannot control the movement of visitors in your space. Even if you have developed an exhibition with the visitor, the ideal visitor in your mind, you cannot avoid them to skip things, to start from the end, to do unexpected things. And of course, this is maybe the weakness of the exhibition, but at the same time, if you accept this risk of let them free in the exhibition, I think it can be more powerful. So I would say you can, you can see exhibition in another way by taking into account this different behavior in the exhibition, and to say exhibition is a set of opportunities for the visitors, opportunities they keep, they take, or they left. No, they are not obliged to do what we want them to do. But if you offer them a lot of opportunities, they will grasp at least some of them. That's the reason why it should never be built with the linearity that we find in books or in lessons. I totally agree with Jorge Waxberg that you have to start with 15 good ideas, and then it will be built. So these ideas are the opportunities you offer to the visitors, and for the rest, the construction, it will come by the movement of the visitors in the space. To end my speech, I don't know about the time. To end my speech, I would like to point a last but very important aspect of exhibition. The fact that what happens is, even if it is a personal experience for each of us, it is also a social experience. Social in many ways. Visitors rarely visit exhibition alone. That's quite trivial. Everybody knows. But when you speak about a target group, you focus only on a small part of this group. Those are families, grandparents with children, parents with children, groups of elders, group of teens. So you have to have in mind that it is a group and not an individual who is visiting your exhibition. Not school groups, small groups, 3, 4, 5. Inside of this group, each of the members have a different way to relate to the exhibition. But as they visit together, they will interact, and then they will build together the meaning of the exhibition. That means that an exhibition has to give to visitors the possibility to exchange their different view and understanding by multiplying the ways to connect to the exhibition and by creating a rich, multi-dimensional, both physically and intellectually, learning environment. So you have to provide, again, when I said a set of opportunity because they are behaving in the way you don't know, you also have to provide the set of opportunity for all age at the same place because it's a group that visit your exhibition. Of course, I could add other things in terms of social environment about the mediator, the animator. The human mediation is very important in this kind of rich, multi-dimensional learning environment, but I will let it maybe for the question period. But I want to point another social aspect of exhibition, and I would call it the sense of community. And let's go back for a while to the Woman, Body and Soul exhibition I already mentioned before. If this exhibition spoke to every visitor intimately, it also created the sense of being a woman, or by a mirror effect, for the man it was the same kind of process. The sense of belonging to the woman community, and this sense was shared by others. Others became suddenly closer because of this shared view. So the fact that other visitors, unknown, totally unknown, were experiencing the same at the same place, developed a kind of change of level of thinking. It connects to every experience of life with our own experience of life with the one of other women. And jumping from this personal to the collective dimension, it enabled the visitors to go behind the that's a very difficult word in English, anecdotal facts to reach political and philosophical ideas. So exhibition can create temporary community, sharing common values, common experience, common knowledge, at least for a while. And this could be used to transform museum into forum. Into forum where questions that arose during the visit could be discussed and the shared value refined. Museums are maybe the last accessible public space we have in our society where this work can be done, where democracy, if I can use big words, where democracy could be at work and public dialogue could take place. By doing so, we could enhance the cultural value of the museums. So, when I was asked to make this speech, I was really wondering what I could say to colleagues. So I spoke as an exhibition woman. I hope these 5 ideas that I summarize here can help you in the years, maybe the months, the years to come for the renewing of your museum. And I thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Michèle. We have time for just 1 or 2 questions. Are there any? Comments? Everybody longing for tea and coffee?
They ate it.
Well, actually, I have one, if I may. You were talking about giving people, your visitors, the opportunity to agree or disagree with your idea, right? That's quite something for a museum like ourselves, who for example, talks about biotechnology, which is in society quite a subject which has opposites and people who are pro. So we try to be very balanced in touching this subject. And now, maybe you are now promoting to give a strong idea which give people a chance to agree or disagree. Am I right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's of course it is a provocative idea, but what I believe is that you have, what you want to make an exhibition is to people react to ideas, not only to learn, but also to be able to use it in their real life. And I believe that there are more reaction with a non-neutral speech than with neutral speech. The neutral speech, I think, frees people, so they have to accept it. Okay, it's science is speaking like this. If you are more provocative, if there is one meaning given, you can be pro or against. Of course, it's not that easy because you will have fights with your scientists for sure, because they have more balanced way of speaking about science. But I think, and it's not to be, I want to say it's not to be provocative. So when the example I took, for instance, all related, all different, it was not that provocative to say there is no racism, but at the same time, it was a time where Le Pen had very high scores in politics, so it was worse to say so and to be quite firm, not saying maybe there are varieties we can find, with dogs there are some different races, and so you can always be balanced. But at the same time, I think this exhibition was good and make react. We had it in Brussels. It was a tremendous success because it was something was affirmed.
Okay, thank you very much. One last question, Jos.
Michèle, your evolution exhibit in Brussels is quite linear. I appreciate that very much, and is a little bit in contrast with your ideas about not giving too much direction. I like it the way you do it, but
I know.
Yep. But what's your real opinion about it? Is it too linear, you think?
It is too linear, obviously, but I should have made a talk only on this. It is linear because the space is like that. We were trapped with the space, and we had to be linear. But if you go deeply in the exhibition, you will already see that there are at least 2 levels of speech. There is the story told, so the linear story with nice fossils. We have more than 1,000 objects in our exhibition. But in front of each period, in front of each transformation in morphology, you have little workshop explaining how it works, sometimes using nowadays animals, sometimes using fossils. So already you can have 2 different attitudes. You can have like a big story told with fossils, and you can have like science center explanation of phenomena. So it was I would say the level, not zero, but only one of these opportunities given to the visitors. I would, if I had a more squared room, and this is why I say the space also gives the meaning. You know, if you have a squared room, you do something else than in a linear room. So everything is, you know, interconnected.
Okay, that's a nice word to end this part of the afternoon on. Thank you very much, Michèle, again. Now we have a short break. Coffee and tea is served next door, about 20 minutes. Thank you.